that would see.
I'm Sydney Kohara. Join me for CNetNews.com weekends at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on CNBC.
CNetNews.com is brought to you by PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft. Customers, employees, suppliers. People power the internet.
This week on CNetNews.com, the NASDAQ takes a serious nosedive on the heels of profit warnings from PC makers.
The labor movement moves into high-tech America. Amazon's workers may go union.
Holiday shopping online is off to a hot start, but will sales be enough to rescue .com?
And net advertising as we know it is a thing of the past as ad makers go way beyond banners.
The banner will in no way bring the traditional dollars to the internet that it needs to survive.
Holiday travelers are booking on the web en masse. We'll tell you which sites are really taking off.
Plus our IPO forecast and commentary from David Corsi.
On air and online, this is CNetNews.com. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sydney Kohara.
And I'm Richard Hart. You're watching CNetNews.com. The Grinch has a grip on PC makers, and it devastated the NASDAQ this week. The market tumbled to a 15-month low during the week after Gateway announced revenue and earnings would fall short of expectations because of slow holiday sales. And the slump isn't hitting just Gateway. PC Data's latest figures show sales are down across the board, nearly 25% compared with the same holiday buying period last year. However, some analysts say this does not mean the PC market is dying off. After all, only about half of all U.S. households have computers so far.
And I think that we could have pretty good penetration up through a 75% saturation level before, say, information appliances come in and start taking significant share away from PCs. So I think there's every reason to believe that people keep buying PCs, but they're reacting very much to the economic picture.
Until sales pick up, expect more trouble ahead. At weekend, analysts were warning Compaq and Apple may be even more vulnerable than Gateway because they have a huge inventory glut.
Well, with the NASDAQ having its worst November in history, it is no wonder that stock options just aren't cutting it these days as compensation for .com employees. And when workers get disgruntled, they organize.
That's right. This week, news broke that workers at two different internet companies are trying to form unions. At eTown.com, employees have filed a petition with the National Labor Relations Board to hold union elections.
And at Amazon.com, workers are taking some pretty serious steps toward unionizing. Here with details is Melissa Francis. Melissa?
Thanks, Sydney. Well, those once vaunted stock options have lost their luster, so .com workers want higher base wages. Amazon is a prime example. The company's stock has performed poorly over the past year, and a recent analyst warning to avoid the stock hasn't helped any. But we spoke with a pro-union Amazon employee who says his gripes against the e-tail giant go beyond those underwater stock options.
I mean, a coal mine or a .com company, you still want job security either way.
Jeremy Puma is a customer service worker at Amazon.com who is trying to unionize his fellow employees. He is doing so with the support of WashTech, an affiliate of the Communications Workers of America Union.
Cool. We're getting the whole spectrum, though.
There's a group of 30 customer service employees within inside of Amazon that are circulating petitions to try to build a majority so we can get union recognition.
Those Amazon customer service representatives, or CSRs, have created a mission statement. Their mission objectives include improved wages. A typical Seattle CSR reportedly earns between $10 to $15 an hour. They also want fewer mandatory overtime hours, but their main mission is to achieve job security.
The chief objective at this point is to get a contract. A contract basically ensuring the safety of the employees in customer service.
Puma's concern about job security for CSRs stems largely from Amazon's recent move to outsource some of its customer support. In August, the company announced it had contracted with a call center in India to handle email overflow and provide off-hour customer care. Amazon maintains that it continues to keep the bulk of its customer service operations in-house. But the outsourcing, coupled with layoffs of 150 employees this past January, are helping to foster a pro-union perspective among Amazon workers. That perspective is shared by some of Amazon's warehouse employees who are trying to organize with the help of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Tim Emmert is a veteran labor attorney with the San Francisco law firm Crosby, Heafy, Roach, and May. He says that employee job security fears are typical for any company as it begins to mature.
Three most important issues tend to be job security, and job security. As a company gets larger, management gets further and further removed from the individual employees.
And like any large company, Amazon doesn't like the idea of unions. In a statement to CNet, an Amazon spokesperson said, "We don't feel that union representation will benefit our employees, customers, or Amazon.com as a whole. This is a choice that is left to employees, and we hope they will make the decision that is right for them." Amazon has made those feelings clear to its employees. The company confirms that on its internal website, it has posted information for supervisors on how to spot and dissuade union activity. And it has held what it calls all-hands meetings on the topic of unions.
What we refer to as captive audience meetings, where they bring the legal team in and say they're there to answer questions and, of course, spin all of the questions to be as anti-organization as possible.
Whatever you want to put in there.
There's definite tension in the air, and they seem to want to turn it into an us versus them situation, which is not what we want to do at all.
Labor experts say that polarity between management and workers is par for the course when unions start to form. They also say the trend towards .com unionization will continue in the coming months as internet startups grow into corporate giants.
When there gets to be a certain maturity, not everybody is there because of the vision. When you get a large number of employees, then many of them are there just for a job.
What this is showing is that the issues that workers are concerned about in the new economy are very similar to the issues that workers are concerned about in the old economy. Job security, fair wages, dignity and respect.
As a side note, the most recent Nielsen Net Ratings numbers show Amazon topping the list for shopping visits during the first 4 weeks of the holiday season. The site scored 54 million visits, a 39% surge from the start of the season.
Well, but the cloud in front of that silver lining is, can they handle the traffic? Because if they can't, they're even in worse shape, right?
That's right. That's what's really critical, and we've already seen their site have trouble twice.
All right, Melissa
There you go.
Francis, thank you very much.
Well, it appears the whole e-tail sector is on track for a banner holiday season. Despite analyst warnings that online holiday shopping could be a disappointment, the numbers so far tell a pretty different story.
Net shopping spiked up almost 30% on the day after Thanksgiving, with hot categories like apparel jumping up nearly 70%.
Well, here with some perspective on what this hot start really means for e-tail is Sean Caldor. He is Vice President of E-commerce for Nielsen Net Ratings. Sean, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, what are your predictions? I mean, are we going to meet or exceed online expectations, and are the e-tailers going to get what they want?
Well, the predictions are really strong. 55 million Americans are going to go shopping online this December. That's up 14 million from last year, and that means about 1 in 5 of us are going to be visiting these e-tailers. That's good for e-tailers. We also expect a good shopping year for consumers with many fewer site problems.
This is the first time we really have some comparison based on what companies who survived are doing this year. Can you make a case for a revenge of the brick and mortar companies versus pure online plays?
We absolutely see that happening in these holidays. Brick and mortar companies are up 67% so far, while the .coms are only up about 42%. Both doing fairly well, but the brick and mortar is getting their revenge.
Any particular companies you can mention as examples?
Walmart doing a great job, absolutely roaring ahead from the relaunch and doing much better than they did last year.
Okay, so what are some of the hottest categories then?
Definitely the hottest categories, consumer electronics, toys, and games, both up over 100% in just the last 4 weeks.
I hear apparel's pretty big too.
Apparel's also doing great. Apparel's up 60%. Virtual department stores also up 60%. Again, Walmart doing well, and Amazon.
What about the apparel sites? Which ones?
Gap doing very well. Old Navy also another great one in that category. Land's End also coming on strong.
All right, that sounds good. All right, Sean, thanks so much for joining us. Sean Caldor, Vice President of E-commerce for Nielsen Net Ratings.
With all the pressure to reel in big sales this season, online retailers are using every trick in the book to attract new customers, including discounts, promotions, and giveaways.
Well, despite conventional Wall Street wisdom predicting the end of the so-called online freebies we saw so much of last year, CNet has found that many e-tailers are still willing to give away at least some of the store.
I didn't have to wrap your gift, I didn't leave the house.
Once again, e-tailers are putting on a merry face and promising a hassle-free online shopping experience.
Get in, get great deals, get out.
Analysts say the stakes are high. More than 16 million first-time shoppers are expected to log on this holiday season. And what better way to nab newbies than with freebies?
You at Amazon.com.
Right now we have a promotion to encourage people to shop early ahead of the holiday rush. So it's shop early, ship free. So orders over $100, there's no shipping. So I encourage your viewers to take advantage of that.
From free shipping to free slippers to deeply discounted goods, the net is shaping up to be another virtual free-for-all. Albert Green is CEO of HealthCentral.com, which created online drugstore WebRx.
Well, this week, obviously, with Christmas just around the corner, we've launched our holiday store, and we've got a whole host of promotions in there, everything from beauty products to home medical equipment products that you can find in there, and they're discounted at about 30 to 40% off of what you're going to typically find in a bricks and mortar store.
Indeed, the promise of online discounts and freebies are a proven way to hook new customers, like 23-year-old Jerry Shelton.
There's a couple stores I go to just because of the everyday fun things you get when you shop with them. extralarge.com. Anytime you buy anything, you get stickers and keychains, extra large, and that's always cool.
But what's cool to consumers has received a cool response from investors. Publicly traded e-tailers, which relied on free perks to acquire customers last year, have been widely punished by the markets this year. In fact, several pure play startups have closed down for good.
I think that the downfall of these companies reflected many things. Giveaway kind of promotionals was one factor. I mean, it's one thing to give 10 to 20% discounts, and it's another to just be giving items away.
Despite repeated warnings from analysts and a stock price well under $1, Health Central's Al Green says WebRx will continue to offer free gifts and moderate discounts year-round. He says the company is still making strides toward profitability, freebies and all.
In the bricks and mortar world, if you're going to get shoppers to come into your store, you've got to offer specials, you've got to offer promotions, you've got to do some things to get people into your store, and that's exactly the same in the world of e-tailing.
But Green warns that e-tailers shouldn't literally give away the store. Last year, startup More.com promised consumers low-priced goods for life.
But we believe that by giving you the opportunity to lock in those low prices for life, you'll also give us more of your business over time.
9 months later, that lifetime offer became null and void when Health Central acquired some of More.com's assets and quickly dropped the deal.
There's a reason why More.com isn't around anymore. And it's that old phrase about selling dimes for nickels. And that lifetime pricing was, in effect, selling dimes for nickels. And if any enterprise is going to stay in business, they have to have a positive margin. And that, on a long-term basis, was not generating a positive margin.
Finding a good deal online this season will take a little homework. But a recent Lehman Brothers report says consumers who comparison shop can often find a 10 to 20% discount on clothing, prescription drugs, toys, and hardware.
I think that discounting is here to stay on the internet in many of the components, but there's going to be some convergence over time where a little of the discounting goes away on the internet and traditional retailers have to cut their price to meet the competition.
Harris says this reverse discounting effect has already happened with books. Bookstores have had to lower their prices to match Amazon's.
I think of all the trinkets and anything I could get, the biggest perk to me is the free shipping.
Yeah, what a great deal.
You've taken advantage of it.
Finally,
for this shopping season. Good for you. Coming up on CNetNews.com, holiday tickets translated to huge sales for the online travel sector.
And Replay TV has changed the channel on its business plan. I'm Hari Srinivasan. I'll tell you how this changes the picture.
One company has the answers you're looking for, beyond the box. And remember, our Client Pro desktop features the Intel Pentium 3 processor. MicronPC.com. Think beyond the box. company has the answers you're looking for beyond the box. And remember, our Client Pro desktop features the Intel Pentium 3 processor. MicronPC.com. Think beyond the box.
If the tangled web of wireless technology leaves your head spinning, relief is just a click away at CNet Wireless. We'll help you make sense of the wireless world.
Valley Motors, the Mercedes store in Salem. Mercedes-Benz is exactly what you would expect. Superior performance. Ultimate luxury. Rugged dependability. Perfection. Exactly what you would expect in value, and dedicated customer service is what you'll find at Valley Motors, the Mercedes store in Salem.
Let's talk car repair.
Well, once you hear why service is so different here at Landmark Ford,
We think you'll be kind of excited.
Landmark has more certified master mechanics and the biggest Ford parts inventory in the entire Northwest.
If you need a rental car, we have more than 150,
And we're open until midnight.
plus Saturdays.
Pretty exciting stuff, huh?
The award-winning Landmark Ford Service Department.
Just off I-5 in Tigard.
Get more.
Spend less.
Replay TV is in rewind. The company is reinventing itself and laying off half its employees.
Replay TV was hoping to revolutionize television with a hard drive system that allows consumers to record everything they ever want to see without the hassles of a VCR. But the business plan just wasn't working.
No, this change in strategy leaves the door wide open for TiVo, its main competitor. The effects will be felt all the way to the top, says senior correspondent Hari Srinivasan.
Yeah, the first thing Replay TV did was to replace the CEO, Kim Lemaster. Anthony Wood, one of the co-founders, is back in the driver's seat, and he'll be steering the company in a very different direction. Replay TV found marketing to the consumer far too expensive a proposition and will now shift to be a technology play.
What we've learned over the last year is that the partners we've been in discussions with and have relationships with are very interested in our technology, but would much rather run the service themselves. And so we're repositioning the company from a service company into a technology licensing company, and that seems to be a model that there's a lot more acceptance for in the market.
This isn't the end, however, of a company or an idea.
What this shows is that there's a shift in where the focus of interactive TV needs to be. Early on, it was thought that interactive TV had to be brought through a specific purpose device. And what we're seeing is that it's the combination of the device and the service together through a set-top box, through your cable or satellite company, that's really going to be where interactive TV really takes off.
The Replay products won't disappear from store shelves quite yet.
We're obviously very concerned about our customers, and those customers will see no changes. The service will continue to operate. For our customers, of course, for Panasonic customers as well, that service will continue to operate, and Panasonic will continue to sell boxes in retail this Christmas and in the future as well.
Replay's most fierce competitor, TiVo, who offers a subscription service along with the set-top box, sees the advantages of gaining larger market share among consumers, but isn't counting Replay out of the game.
I would not put too much significance into what Replay is doing here. They're one example of a number of companies that are essentially inventing the future of television. You're going to see some people go off in different directions. We don't think of this as a trend. We don't think of it as particularly significant, actually.
The landscape these devices exist in will change once again when television manufacturers begin bundling hard drives directly into the set. One more reason why TiVo wants to stay with services that they can bundle with players like DirecTV.
I think the technology focus is a risky area because many companies want to develop this technology, and I think they'll find themselves competing with some very big players who want to do this on their own.
You've got Microsoft working with EchoStar already on their web TV service that does do some PVR functionality. They're going to have the next generation of their TV service out next year. It is going to be a very crowded marketplace. It's going to be who can get the deals with the best cable partners, with the best set-top box manufacturers, and the satellite companies.
Hari, what about Open TV and Liberate? I mean, how are they handling this? And also, what analysts think of the TiVo stock, too, because it's about 75% off its high?
Yeah, the answer to your first question, I think Open TV and Liberate, who are sort of software and technology plays in the interactive television game, are probably going to see a little bit more competition from Replay. And as for TiVo stock, the analysts I spoke with think this is good for the company because it leaves them one less direct competitor in the consumer marketplace.
Thanks, Hari. That's senior correspondent Hari Srinivasa. Replay wasn't the only one announcing a strategy shift this week. eStamp is also drastically changing its business. The online postage pioneer is leaving stamps behind and shifting its business to the more lucrative market for shipping and packaging. The company's also cutting its workforce by 30%. eStamp is primarily blaming low product demand for the shift. Already, competitor Stamps.com laid off 240 of its employees last month to streamline operations. eStamp stock is now trading down in the 30-cent range. It hit $40 earlier this year.
Wow, what a difference. Still ahead on CNetNews.com. CNet Radio's Brian Cooley tells us about the hottest site on the internet, and it's not even selling anything.
And internet wizards do their magic and make boring ad banners disappear.
Nothing enriches your life like the world's most beautiful piano music. Now Time Life brings you 100 piano masterpieces for just $29.99. Imagine owning the 100 best-loved piano classics of all time. "100 piano masterpieces on 5 CDs or 5 cassettes. More than 6 full hours of breathtaking digital sound. This is your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own all of the great piano masterpieces in one collection. "100 piano masterpieces. If you're not completely satisfied, Time Life will refund every penny of your purchase price. So call now and enjoy a lifetime of the world's most beautiful piano music."
To order 100 piano masterpieces, call 1-800-204-3399. That's 1-800-204-3399, or send $29.99 for 5 CDs or 5 cassettes, plus $4.99 shipping to 100 Piano Masterpieces, Department 3, Richmond, Virginia, 23280.
Welcome back, everyone. Microsoft dropped the legal equivalent of a bomb this week. It submitted an appeal that accuses the antitrust case's judge of misinterpreting law and being openly biased. In June, U.S. Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson ordered Microsoft to split into 2 companies for violating antitrust law. Microsoft's new brief attacks the premise of Jackson's findings and claims Jackson has shown prejudice against Microsoft in statements he's made outside the courtroom. The government plans to respond to Microsoft's brief in a filing scheduled for January 12th. Experts, though, aren't looking for a decision in the case until late spring.
Now let's head over to the radio station to check in with Brian Cooley. CNet Radio covers tech news 24/7, but we call upon Brian to share the offbeat stories you might not hear anywhere else, the kinds of things that really intrigue his listeners. And Brian, I'm going to ask you a question that many internet-savvy people appear to be asking each other these days. Are you hot or not?
Well, I don't know about me, but you are, Richard. Sorry. This is the hottest website anywhere right now. You know, we hear the phrase viral marketing and how things just take off as a network virus of popularity. AmIHotOrNot.com. People post their pictures, just regular snapshots, and you and I and the rest of the world comment on whether they're a 10 or something less in most cases.
Is this cruel or fun?
Fun as you can imagine. It's addictive, Richard. It's like a box of chocolates. You can't stop.
This is one of those things that nobody put on billboards. I didn't get any flyers in the mail. There's no advertising. How do people find things like this?
Well, you know, the buzz comes up. Desmond Chrysler here at CNet Radio started talking about it when it launched about 6 weeks ago. A fellow named James Hong in Mountain View, it's in Silicon Valley, California, launched this site on a server in his bedroom, stuck off of a DSL line, I believe. He had to move it to commercial hosting about a week ago. It got so popular. It hit that little hockey stick of popularity, and away went the traffic. It's so grassroots. It reminds you of early internet, you know, circa mid-90s.
Now, that, of course, is probably more a better seen on television than it is heard on the radio, but there is something that has probably been very good for radio in the last week, and that is the audio recording of the Supreme Court deliberations in the recount case. Have you heard of a word of whether this is as popular as downloading the Star report, for example?
I think the popularity is not as strong, but I think the success of it is stronger. We are not seeing the kind of bottlenecks around the net. You know, we do a thing on the radio, people talk about a lot, called the Internet Traffic Report, as we monitor packet flow across the United States and the globe, and we never saw the big hit that would indicate real bottlenecks, which is a great thing. It means the net is up to the task. And you point out an interesting moment there, that the broadcast community is now starting to use webcast audio. It's good enough in fidelity, and it actually is reliable enough that you can roll on it, turn it around, get it on the air, when, of course, it's not a copyright problem.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I logged on myself just to hear it online, and I found it worked on a number of sites, and I think it's a great thing. Yeah,
a lot of them did. The U.S. Supreme Court site's the only one that really got hammered because they just weren't expecting heavy traffic to that relatively quiet avenue of the web.
And that would be the government site. All right. Finally, holiday season approaching. Anything unusual or hot in toys?
Internet-connected toys. How do you think? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm trying to imagine an internet-connected kid who would use the toy. What is that all about?
Chris Burns, editor of the Toy Report, was talking with a lot of our listeners over the last week and said there's a whole rash now of relatively expensive still, but internet-connected toys. Toys that can get a software upgrade to make them do things differently. They can advance their personality if it's a robot, or they can get new functionality connecting to a PC.
Why do I get the feeling that this principally appeals to the parents who will be paying for the toy and actually have the computer? All right. And what do you want for Christmas?
Oh, I don't know. I just want a good night's rest.
Okay. Brian Cooley, we'll be listening to you on the radio, of course. You can hear Brian in the Silicon Valley area at 9:10 a.m. around the clock, or to listen online at cnetradio.com.
Still to come on CNetNews.com, our experts tell us why it's a dark December for IPOs.
And online columnist David Corsi spells out the hot new tech title, not CEO or CFO, but CPO.
I wanted this movie to chronicle one family's odyssey through the West. Nice.
The Canon ZR-10 digital camcorder lets you take home movies to a whole new level.
Pack the bags, baby. We're moving to Hollywood.
Can your business afford downtime due to bad power? Can your enterprise avoid power disruptions? Who ensures availability for more networks worldwide? APC. Power management solutions wherever data is created, transmitted, or stored. For a free downtime analysis, go to iwantapc.com.
The great thing about outboard motors is how they save fuel, take up practically no space, and turn effortlessly. Imagine what would happen if we put them on a 142,000-ton ship. We did. We build knowledge. ABB. Brain power.
On the next Tim Russert, the lawyers, the judges, making sense of the twists and turns in the battle for the presidency. On the next Tim Russert. The proud new home of the Senior PGA Tour, CNBC.
It's amazing. We have customers drive here to Hillsboro, Chrysler, Plymouth, and Jeep from Eugene, Bend, from all over Washington, Idaho. Why? People appreciate our giant selection.
Important notice. Right now, special financing allows us to offer our entire selection of Town & Countries, each with a total savings of $4,500. All Grand Cherokees, $6,000 to $8,500.
Visit Hillsboro, Chrysler, Plymouth, and Jeep. Nice people, great prices.
Valley Motors, the Mercedes store in Salem. Mercedes-Benz is exactly what you would expect. Superior performance. Ultimate luxury. Rugged dependability. Perfection. Exactly what you would expect in value, and dedicated customer service is what you'll find at Valley Motors, the Mercedes store in Salem.
It's the dog days of December when it comes to initial public offerings. Only one tech company is braving the waters this week. While many people are distracted by the holidays, if you look back, December actually hasn't always been so slow for IPOs. For instance, in December of '98, 20 companies went public, raising about $3.6 billion. And then last year in December, 40 IPOs raised roughly $4.5 billion. But it is already shaping up to be quite a different story this year. And we're going to talk about the December doldrums with our venture capitalists here today. Joining me are Phil Sanderson from Walden VC and Sukumar Ramanathan of VC International. You all get enough turkey over the holidays?
Oh, yeah.
All right, back and ready to roll here. Listen, research firm Venture Economics says VC returns averaged about 167% last year. I got to ask you, taking a look at your own companies, did you see some highs and lows this year?
Yeah, we've had some companies that are still in registration, unable to get out in this public market, but we've had some good returns. Unlike mutual funds, the returns don't vary on a daily basis. It's very long-term, very cyclical. We actually saw some numbers come out recently. $28 billion was raised for the venture industry, and if you're fortunate enough to have a new venture fund now, at the bottom of the trough of a cyclical industry, I think you're gonna find returns will be good.
You've got a little more of a chance to have a track record because your company is a little bit older. And Sukumar, you just started in January when things were going great, and all of a sudden the bottom drops out in March or April. How has it been for your company?
What Phil said was right. I think that we were lucky to have raised it early this year, the money, because we were able to raise a substantial fund at that time. And we deployed a little bit in the first half of the year, but now we're finding that the companies that we're investing in, the valuations are a lot lower. So there is certain merit to being able to invest at the bottom of a trough too, though the exit strategy, of course, comes into question if the IPO market is a wilderness.
How tough is it mentally for you guys to handle, say, what looks like it's going to be a down year for VCs?
Well, we're not going to have an exit for a couple of years, I think, a liquidity event, and Phil could probably talk about Walden, which has much more of that right now because they're much more of a history.
Sure, it's a portfolio approach. So you'll invest in a number of companies over time. Some companies won't make it. That's the nature of private equity. But some companies will do well and carry the rest of the portfolio. The venture industry is seen as high risk because you're investing early, but in many ways it's a lower risk strategy because it's a portfolio approach. So over 26 years, we've had IRRs that have reached almost 40% on the average over time. And like many funds, we've had triple-digit IRRs in our last fund.
But you're a company as well, and just like the dot-coms, are you having to struggle with things like belt tightening, maybe layoffs, or just changing your strategy at this point?
Well, there's definitely the issue of portfolio reviews. If you were investing at the height of the euphoria, you want to look at the companies you invested in and decide which ones get more oxygen and which ones should be allowed to wither. And there's another situation also where if you're not able to get an exit pretty soon, you're going to have to find subsequent financing either yourself or through other VC firms.
And internally, most of the partnerships are pretty lean. I have 4 partners, 5 in total, so there's no need to scale back or scale up during good or bad times.
Okay, well, let's quickly talk about the IPO market. With all this presidential uncertainty, how is that affecting the IPO market? I mean, we know it's hitting the market in general.
I think it's very bad for the market because it adds uncertainty, and more than anything, Wall Street hates uncertainty. Add to that things like increased bankruptcies and chances of an upcoming recession, and you have a very bad situation indeed.
It's true. People are saying things like durable orders coming down. The Fed isn't doing anything to curb a recession, so people are thinking next year we may be in one. People are looking at orders during the Christmas season being high, but not as high as last year. So there's some signs we could have some problems.
All right, well, let's take a look at our only tech IPO this week. It is Garmin Limited. It designs, develops, and manufactures a variety of GPS-enabled products for navigation, communications, and information. 10.5 million shares offered at $15 to $17 a share. The company's hoping to raise about $170 million. Trading symbol here, GRMN. Revenue for fiscal year 99, almost $233 million, and net income of more than $64 million for the same period. So Listen, we're hearing about this global positioning and stuff. Is this a good market to be in, and is this the right company?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting company. I mean, there are real revenues that you just stated and real income. GPS is a big part of the aviation, marine, and even recreational spaces. But given the fact they lowered their price range shows that it's a very tough market to go public in. I have some issues as well. I don't like co-CEOs and co-chairmen. I think that type of schizophrenia doesn't play well in companies. It's best to have one leader, in my opinion, steering the ship.
One more thing that's a little difficult to stomach is the fact that the founders are selling shares along with the other shares that are coming out. Yet 2.5 million shares are actually founder shares right here. So that makes you wonder why they are selling right at the very beginning instead of having faith in their own companies further down the road to be able to sell when it goes up higher.
Absolutely. But the fact, too, that Garmin Limited is maybe the only tech IPO, is it going to get a little more attention and maybe a little more of a bounce because it's going to be out there by itself?
I think it'll get a lot of attention. I don't know about a bounce. I don't think any company going public right now is going to get a big bounce. People will definitely have they'll all have the spotlight on them, but I don't think it's going to be a
like you said, in November we had a number of IPOs and some of them aren't doing so well,
I think of the last 32 IPOs, Sydney, 15 of them are trading below the issue price. I can't think of a 3-month period that this has happened in the last 5 years.
Okay, pretty interesting. Would you buy Garmin?
I would hold off because I think the valuation is fairly rich. It's at a PE of 25 at the IPO price, and I would probably wait and see what happens after the IPO. I wouldn't be in a hurry to buy it right now.
Phil?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't be buying anything right now, actually.
Okay, you're going to go holiday shopping.
The best IPO in this year, Sydney, in the tech markets being as frothy as they were early on, has been Krispy Kreme donuts.
Wow. Gosh, if we only knew, right, back then. Thanks a lot, guys. Keep an eye on Garmin Limited, trading symbol GRMN. That'll do it for this week. Sukumar Ramanathan and Phil Sanderson, thanks so much for joining me. Stay tuned to CNetNews.com. Its first smartphone didn't sell well, but one company's taking a second stab at the market. And if it's broke, fix it. The .com ad world tries to move beyond the banner.
One company has the answers you're looking for, beyond the box. And remember, our Client Pro desktop features the Intel Pentium 3 processor. MicronPC.com. Think beyond the box.
If the tangled web of wireless technology leaves your head spinning, relief is just a click away at CNet Wireless. We'll help you make sense of the wireless world, navigate through the maze of wireless products, and get you smart before you buy. From cell phones to service plans to PDAs, CNet Wireless educates you on the best products at the best prices. Get smart about wireless technology. Log on to wireless.cnet.com. CNet.com, the source for computers and technology.
One company has the answers you're looking for, beyond the box. And remember, our Client Pro desktop features the Intel Pentium 3 processor. MicronPC.com. Think beyond the box.
Consumers in search of the elusive Sony PlayStation 2 gaming console are wreaking havoc online. Shoppers are clogging sites like Best Buy and BlueLight.com trying to get their hands on a PS2. Reports say some people are staying on sites for as long as 30 hours at a time in hopes that a console might appear for sale, and it's causing outages. Many sites are completely out of the consoles because Sony is running more and more behind on production. It originally planned to ship 2 million consoles by year's end, but to date has shipped only 700,000. Sony's blaming the delays on trouble with graphics chips.
But look for a new combination cell phone PDA device to be hitting store shelves very soon. This is the smartphone. It's a combo palm handheld and cell phone that includes a built-in web browser. At 7 ounces and an inch thick, it's bigger than most cell phones, but still smaller than its predecessor, Qualcomm's PDQ. The smartphone is made by Kyocera, which acquired the PDQ when it bought Qualcomm's handset business back in February. Well, the PDQ wasn't a big seller, but Kyocera is still convinced there is a market for all-in-one devices.
Now, we found that the market doesn't want to carry 3 different devices. They don't want to carry a phone, a pager, and a PDA. So there is a large market out there in excess of 20 million people using personal digital assistants, and more specifically 15 to 18 million using Palm. So there is a large market that's demanding an integrated device.
The smartphone's release is anticipated for the first quarter of next year. It's expected to cost about $500, $300 less than the PDQ.
This year has seen plenty of web companies that rely on advertising as their main source of revenue struggling to make a profit.
Many industry analysts have even come to the conclusion that the online advertising business model is simply not a viable one.
But some major players in the internet space are hoping to disprove that theory and turn net advertising upside down with a new brand of bigger, bolder, and more pointed online ads. As more .com companies cut back on their ad spending, some web giants will depend less on banner ads and will move to create more engaging online advertising formats in order to attract traditional advertisers. Ali Shaw is Vice President of Marketing at Unicast, one of the leading companies creating the new wave of internet ads.
What we're seeing are, with more and more .coms going away, more and more traditional advertisers being sought after by websites. With that, traditional agencies, on behalf of their advertisers, are commanding more efficient, more effective, more measurable formats of advertising in order to put their money on the table.
A year and a half ago, 6% of users reportedly clicked on banner ads. According to Mediametrics, the click-through rate today is only around 0.4%. Now, some heavy traffic sites such as Alta Vista, Real Networks, Walt Disney, and CNet are testing new ad formats in hopes of attracting more advertising dollars. Thus far, one of the most intriguing is Unicast's Superstitial.
It's the internet's commercial. It's a window that plays in between web pages as users go from page to page. We do that in a way that is the most polite to end users, allowing advertisers to get what they want and will pay for, and giving websites a high-value, high-priced, high-paid unit that delivers very high return on investment and allows them to begin to reap more and more of the reward that they have worked so hard for.
Marketing juggernaut Disney is just one of the major companies looking to the Superstitial. In addition, Disney is experimenting with some other new advertising ideas.
We've recently launched the big impression advertising opportunity on our sites, which is 30% larger than any standard advertising historically on the web. It allows for rich media, whether it's flash or blue streak animation. It allows for drop-down menus and calls to action. Within Go.com, we've created another new kind of advertising opportunity called the active ad module. That's an opportunity for an advertiser to place a highly active call to action message right alongside the search results. As you start to look at what traditional major advertisers are looking for, sophisticated advertisers are looking for, you need to get outside the box and you need to create new forms of creative and integration of their messages into those mediums, into those websites.
That means advertisers will soon be given a wide range of choice on the web, from banners to video commercials. And they will be able to tailor their campaigns to specific audiences and integrate their ads across all ad media.
Banner ads, I don't believe will ever go away. And if you think about it in terms, again, of traditional media, the banner ad we would equate to a traditional outdoor ad, billboard. What has yet to really be on the internet is the equivalent of the television commercial, in a way that users can experience the same way that they experience television. Instant message, very rich in content, potentially entertaining, and also adding the elements of the internet, which is a call to action.
I think the long-term future of advertising on the web is very, very strong. But the thing that has to happen to take advantage of that future and that opportunity is a continued push of the evolution of the internet as a great marketing medium.
Now, one of the issues here, of course, is whether people will find them annoying. The new ads are not just grasping at straws. The advertisers say this is a good, healthy evolution in the medium. And they think, just in the same way as on this program, you and I are sort of used to commercials, we won't find these intrusive at all. We'll get used to them.
Yeah, the problem is, though, I mean, you might get so used to them that you'll just ignore them.
Right. They have to keep us from getting too used to them.
Still to come on CNetNews.com, high-tech commentary with columnist David Corsi.
And holiday travelers ring in online, but the most popular sites may not be the ones you'd expect.
Thank you for holding customer support.
I just want to let you know I'll never buy anything from your company again.
I'm sorry, what can I do to help?
Help? I've called you guys 5 times, and every time I have to explain this problem over
Right,
again.
no,
Last time you asked me to fax my invoice, then I emailed you. You thanked me for writing?
Could you tell me exactly what the problem is?
The problem?
Hello?
Business as usual is the problem. Siebel eBusiness is the solution. Siebel, eBusiness for a customer-driven world.
Easy number for you to get and give.
Can your business afford downtime due to bad power? Can your enterprise avoid power disruptions? Who ensures availability for more networks worldwide? APC. Power management solutions wherever data is created, transmitted, or stored. For a free downtime analysis, go to iwantapc.com.
If you're looking for a clean, dependable used car, truck, or SUV,
just remember this number, 99.
Because for a limited time only at Landmark Ford, every one of these vehicles are just $99 down.
And $99 a month.
Read the list.
They're all $99 down.
And $99 a month.
But obviously, they're selling fast.
So if you see something you'd like,
call us immediately.
At Landmark Ford.
Just off I-5 and Tigard.
Get more.
Spend less.
Valley Motors, the Mercedes store in Salem. Mercedes-Benz is exactly what you would expect. Superior performance. Ultimate luxury. Rugged dependability. Perfection. Exactly what you would expect in value, and dedicated customer service is what you'll find at Valley Motors, the Mercedes store in Salem.
This is the busiest time of year for travel, so it should come as no surprise. It's also turning out to be a very busy time for those online travel sites.
In fact, 21 million people will book travel online this year, roughly twice as many as last year. Wendy Walsh spends a lot of time in airports, and so we're going to ask her for the details.
I do. I travel about twice a week, you guys, and you know, it seems to be getting harder and harder to get from here to there. And maybe that's why 44% of people who book travel online, tend to do it around the holidays. I think they're looking for anything to cut down on the stress. Huge lines, long delays, and plenty of frustration. That's the standard recipe for holiday travel. Well, there's no way to beat the lines or reverse the weather cancellations. The millions of travelers are turning to the internet to remove one headache from the holiday travel scenario.
I like the fact that I don't have to wait on a telephone line and wait in line for them to answer the phone.
Airline tickets are the #1 item purchased on the internet.
Henry Hartevelt with Forrester Research says online travel sites have created a simple formula for success.
Price, 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 then convenience, the ability to buy your tickets from any place at any time, and the control that you have.
And more control may be very helpful when a flight is canceled. These days, travelers with wireless capabilities can change their flights on their laptops and avoid the crunch at the counter.
It really puts the consumer in control of the travel destiny.
A new report from Forrester projects consumers will spend $8 billion on airline tickets alone this year, and online travel sales are expected to reach $29 billion by 2003.
It's much more mainstream. It used to be the province of the road warriors and the techno geeks. Now it's everybody.
And as consumers get more familiar with online options, they're becoming more savvy. The pure play travel sites are losing some ground to the airline's own ticket sites.
Last year, 7 of the top 10 sites we tracked were .coms. This year, only 3 are .coms, Travelocity, Priceline, and Expedia.
Do you tend to go to airline-associated sites, or do you use some of the others like Travelocity or Expedia or Priceline?
Mainly just straight to the airline, just because I'm familiar with Southwest and Delta. So,
you know, American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, 3 of the top-ranked sites in our research have long histories of 25 to 70 years, strong physical world presence, and of course, they control the inventory, so they can give you special discounts, they can give you booking bonus miles, and they've made their sites very easy to shop.
Office. Here in San Francisco is our leisure business.
Despite the current trend, Travelocity.com's Mark Wilson paints a rosy picture and points out the extra options his site provides.
We offer convenience and choice, so rather than having to kind of go and search among 50 or so different sites or various different ones, is we kind of bring it all together.
But it's clear from the customers we talk to at the airport, no matter which sites they use, only one thing really matters. So why did you choose to buy your travel this holiday season on the internet?
It's easier and it's cheaper.
Because it's cheaper.
Because it was cheaper? Well, you know, a majority of travel sites must be doing something right. A new customer service study from CPulse says travel sites rank the highest in customer satisfaction.
Now, let me get this straight. Wendy, you virtually book everything online. In Sydney, you book nothing online, right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
A different tale here.
Well, what's your experience been?
Well, you know, after doing this story where I found so much customer satisfaction, I was pretty surprised because we did this in Los Angeles, where I thought people are not going to be as online savvy as they are here in San Francisco. And I was pleasantly surprised to see 80 to 90% of the people in that holiday Thanksgiving line had bought their tickets online. So I bought a couple after that.
Yeah, but you know, what about Priceline.com? It seems like that site isn't winning a lot of,
really good question. You know,
exactly.
they have actually been thrown out of the Connecticut Better Business Bureau, which is their home state, and they're currently appealing that decision. Now, it's been a subject of many grievance letters to the Department of Transportation, but consumers who go to Priceline now should see some progress. The company is redesigning its site. It's trying to make it more consumer friendly, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
You know, I get on the phone and I do my airline tickets. I call John and say, book it, Dan.
Travel agent.
Exactly.
All I know is the last 3 words we heard from the people in your story were cheaper, and I believe cheaper.
Right.
Was the other word. Okay, thanks very much, Wendy Walsh.
Online privacy is a particularly hot issue this time of year, as so many people provide credit card numbers to shop online. And IBM has just made a timely appointment this week of a privacy chief. IBM veteran Harriet Pearson will fill the role. She's an engineer, she's also a lawyer, and she told us it's time for the private sector to get aggressive on privacy.
Government has always had a role in helping individuals guard their privacy, and government should continue having a role. We believe that, and we will work with government on that. Companies need to step up to the plate, though, because there is no one single answer. There's no silver bullet. So we all need to keep working on this, consumers, business, and government.
Privacy is the #1 issue among consumers, no surprise there, and many big tech companies are expected to add chief privacy officers in the coming year.
And you got to wonder, if you're a CPO, a chief privacy officer, what do you do during the day when you arrive at the job? So we asked online commentator David Corsi what he would do if he were a CPO.
If I were the chief privacy officer, I would want to protect my identity within the company. So I'm not even going to try that one on, but I brought these just in case I wanted to protect.
I think this is his way of saying he really doesn't take the title seriously.
Well,
okay, we have
this Pearson person who was chosen, do you think because she was an engineer and might design something about privacy, or because she's a lawyer and might protect IBM?
One of the things she told us was that she would be working with the government to make sure. Now, here's IBM is working with the government to work on privacy. What can somebody do in a corporation?
Now, do you think IBM is going to protect your privacy, or do you think IBM is going to protect it and its customers' rights to do with the data as they please?
So what you're saying is a chief privacy officer on offense or defense?
That would be the question, wouldn't it?
Okay.
I think she goes both ways here.
Well, yeah, she has to be. She has to wear 2 hats, and this is like an ombudsman. It's going to be a tough role for her to fill. But you don't get the job here. You also were telling us a little bit earlier that I believe you have a TiVo or a Replay, right?
I have both of them, actually.
Okay. Well, which one do you think is? No, Replay is no longer going to make the machines.
Replay is getting out of the hardware business in the sense that they're going to make them. I called the company because my Christmas list, #1 thing I wanted was the 60-hour Replay box. TiVo does not, to my knowledge, make a 60-hour box, and I wanted to record the whole Iron Chef marathon that runs on New Year's Day.
Iron
And
Chef.
it's 24 hours, and I needed 60 hours to record this in better quality. The TiVo, people tend to like it because it's consumer friendly. I've always liked the replay box for the simple reason that it has a button on it that allows you to fast forward through commercials, that because replay was not in bed, I would say, with the marketing forces, the dark side, they put the button on. That could also be why replay is getting out of the hardware business too, because they weren't close enough to the people who bought the advertising and did the programming. Now, replay continues. Panasonic sells their boxes. The other thing they found, and this is something that I think we've seen a lot of .com and internet era companies find, is that what they imagined the value they brought to the deal was not exactly what the people who are already there. Replay wanted a network. They wanted all the revenue, all the money, and they found that cable systems and hardware vendors and other people who have already customers, imagine this, they wanted to own the network too.
Really?
Yes,
sounds like it's time for a little change in strategy here.
Yes, it is a change in strategy. They say that this allows us to have our business and not subsidize every box to the tune of several $100s. And to go through their money a lot more slowly than they would otherwise.
We have discussed with you in the past the likelihood that people are spending money on things like replay boxes and other digital equipment that used to be the domain of the personal computer.
Well, not a good year for computer sales.
No,
everybody this week is announcing, holidays are just going to be awful, and you have to ask yourself, well, why do I want a computer this Christmas? Windows ME is not a reason to go out and buy a new computer, so no new operating system.
But there are cheaper prices. I mean, they're bargain.
Hey, especially coming up, because now that they've got all these huge inventories now, it looks like they're going to be some price wars. So if you wait a little while, maybe you'll get a better deal.
After Christmas may be good, just before Christmas. Now that all these companies have said how awful it's going to be, maybe Gateway and others will lower their prices.
The market is not saturated yet with computers. I mean, there's still a lot of people who don't have a computer.
But the easy sales probably are saturated. A lot of computer sales today are going to second and third computers in a house or replacement computers. A good thing to do this holiday season, if you already own a couple of computers, would be concentrate on a little bit of networking. That is getting really cheap.
This gets us to David Corsi's Christmas list now. What do you think are going to be the hot items? What do people tell you are going to be under the Christmas tree?
Well,
in the digital
PlayStation 2, if only you could get one.
Yeah. Okay.
We talked about that earlier.
That would be number one. Number two, I think we're still seeing a lot of MP3 interest. I think we're still seeing a lot of MP3 interest, people who don't yet have their boxes and things like that. I think it's a good year for gamers. It's not such a good year for the internet. This would be, my own recommendations would be, look at home networking. If you don't already have a fast internet connection at your home, a DSL connection or a cable modem connection, this would be an excellent time to do that. There are a number of promotions on, and it's a great time of year.
You know, what do you wrap up and put under the tree?
Well, for those if you have a suggestion of something to put under the tree, or if you'd like to disagree with David, you can always send your comments to him at david@corsi.com.
Well, that concludes this edition of CNetNews.com. But remember, you can always watch any part of today's show online with a high-speed connection. I'm Sydney Kohara.
And I'm Richard Hart, online and on TV. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
CNetNews.com was brought to you by PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft. Customers, employees, suppliers. People power the internet.
One company has the answers you're looking for. Beyond the box. And remember, our Client Pro desktop features the Intel Pentium 3 processor. MicronPC.com. Think beyond the box. company has the answers you're looking for beyond the box. And remember, our Client Pro desktop features the Intel Pentium 3 processor. MicronPC.com. Think beyond the box.